Today I've got a long overdue collection update for you guys, and I'll be going over all the titles I've picked up on physical media in the last few months that I haven't already talked about in other recent videos. So let's rock this. Hi everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Fuzz. It's great to see you guys, and I do have a long overdue collection update for you guys. I haven't done one of these collection updates in probably about 6 or 7 months. I think it's been since December since I last did one of these updates. When I first started doing these updates, the idea was to try and do a collection update once every couple months or so, basically once I had accumulated enough titles to make it worthy of doing a video. And that's basically how I was doing my collection updates all last year. But this year has been a little bit different, and there are a number of reasons why I've not done one of these updates in a while. For one thing, I usually do slow down quite a bit on my purchasing during the first few months of the year, or like the first half of the year. Of course, I'm still buying things for the collection during this time. I'm just not buying as many titles as I normally would, say, in like the second half of the year. You know, I always feel like the best movies, or the biggest releases, or the titles that I'm most interested in, they seem to always get released in like the second half of the year, right? And so I always find that I buy a lot more titles, especially on 4K, during that second half of the year. That's just when most of the good stuff that I'm usually interested in comes out. It's usually during the second half of the year. I mean, we still get some good titles during the first half of the year as well, so don't get me wrong here, but I do find that over the last few years of me collecting, it's usually the months of like September through December where I buy the most titles on physical media. Another reason is because many of my new pickups were titles that I discussed in other videos during this same time, right? So I didn't want to like talk about a title and then turn around and do a collection update and talk about the title again, right? It just seemed a little too redundant. I also started a new series this year, my 4K Takeaways series, where I essentially do 4K reviews of new recent 4K releases. And most of my new 4K pickups over the last 6 months or so have been discussed in these 4K Takeaways videos. So again, I didn't want to do a collection update where I'm talking about titles that I just finished reviewing in depth in other videos. The other thing is, I don't really like to do collection updates unless I have a decent number of titles to show you guys, right? I won't do a collection update like this for just, 3 or 4 titles. That's not even worth it for doing a video, right? You guys who are regular viewers know that I like to do long-form content on this channel. So you're not going to see me putting out a 5 or 10-minute video just to talk about a few titles that I just picked up. I'd rather wait until I have a nice, big, fat batch that I can share with you guys. And of course, as I indicated, I try to only discuss titles in these updates that I haven't already talked about in other recent videos. Okay, so the way this usually works is I go over all my Blu-rays first. My new Blu-ray pickups, those get covered first, and then I move on to my new 4K pickups. Now, most of the titles I'm talking about here today are in fact Blu-rays, so I only have a few 4Ks to talk about today, but that's because of my 4K Takeaways series. Otherwise, I'd have like, 11 or 12 more titles to talk about on 4K. And by the way, if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen my previous 4K Takeaways episodes, you can go to the homepage of my channel and scroll down and you will see a 4K Takeaways playlist there. There have been, I believe, 3 episodes to date. So yeah, check those out. Now, the idea with these collection updates, at least compared to other types of videos I do on the channel, the idea with these updates is to try and get through these titles a little quicker than I usually would if I were doing a more in-depth analysis. I mean, oftentimes if it's a new title, there's a good chance I still haven't had a chance to even watch it yet. So, and that's certainly the case today. I haven't had a chance to watch every title that I'm talking about today. Some of them I have, but definitely not all of them. So this video is really just meant as kind of a quick rundown on what I picked up and what I've been watching lately. All right, so without any further ado, let's get right into this list. And first up, on Blu-ray from 1988, cheesy 80s action film, Action Jackson. Got a little Carl Weathers action here. And who else is in this? Craig T. Nelson. Oh, awesome bad guy. He does a great job as the villain in this. In fact, it kind of surprised me because I have a hard time viewing Craig T. Nelson as the bad guy, right? It's hard for me to picture him as a bad guy, but he really, he delivered in this role and he did a great job and it was a lot of fun. We also have Vanity in this film, and then Sharon Stone, an early performance from Sharon Stone, which was, I thought was pretty interesting to see. I haven't seen a lot of early performances from her, just a couple, but yeah, she was great in this. And really, the cast is perfect for this kind of a film. Now, I want to give a quick shout out to Dell over at Dell On Movies for recommending this title to me. And if you haven't checked out his channel, make sure you give his channel some love over there. Dell's a great guy. So, he's the one that kind of put this on my radar. I had heard of this film before, but I'd never seen it, right? I was aware of it, but I just never gotten around to seeing it all these years. And, you know, I love Carl Weathers. He's awesome, you know, but I was thinking about it and it's like, you know, I don't really have a whole lot of Carl Weathers in my collection outside of the Rocky movies and Predator, right? So I thought, yeah, I wouldn't mind adding a little bit more Carl to my collection. And when I saw Dell talking about this movie in one of his videos, I think it was a couple months ago, it immediately caught my attention, and I actually bought it that day and really enjoyed it. I had a chance to watch this one, and I just had a blast with it. It's so much fun. It really is a fun, cheesy 80s action movie, and if you like that kind of thing, then you can't go wrong with something like this. So yeah, Action Jackson for my first pickup. Okay, next up, I've got a disaster movie here from 1997. Got Dante's Peak. I finally got around to adding this to my collection. I love this movie. I used to watch it all the time back in the late 90s on cable TV. And it's one of those films that I feel like I've seen quite a few times. But for some reason, I'd never gotten around to adding it to the collections. But just a fun film here with Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton, who I love. So, you know, you can't go wrong with something like this, especially if you're a fan of disaster movies. I love disaster movies. You know, movies like Deep Impact or The Core. You know, Armageddon or all those Roland Emmerich movies. Yeah, I've got quite a few of them, but for some reason, I had just never gotten around to adding this to the collection, so I finally did. So yeah, this is, it's just a fun film. Yes, it's cheesy. It's absolutely cheesy, but it's still a lot of fun and has a pretty high rewatch value for me personally. So yeah, just a really fun film that I've always enjoyed. Despite its cheesiness, it's still a lot of fun. So Dante's Peak. All right, and I also picked up a film called Nightcrawler from 2014. This one came recommended from Stuart George over at Stuart George's Home Movies. Make sure you check out his channel as well because another great guy. He does some great stuff over there on his channel. So give his channel some love as well. But he was talking about this not too long ago. It might have been a month or 2 months ago. I can't remember exactly, but this one came pretty highly recommended from him, if I remember correctly, and it definitely caught my attention. So I went and bought it that day, and but I still haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So I am looking forward to checking this out. You got Jake Gyllenhaal here. You got Rene Russo in this one. You got Bill Paxton. And that's one of the reasons I picked it up when I did. I have been on kind of a Bill Paxton kick lately, trying to add more movies that he was in to my collection. And and I had heard good things about this movie before, you know, before Stuart talked about it. I'd heard some pretty good things about this movie. Apparently, it's a pretty good thriller. So I am looking forward to checking this one out. So yeah, Nightcrawler. If you guys have seen this, let me know what your thoughts are on this or on any of the films I'm talking about today. But I always love to hear your guys' thoughts on films that I have yet to watch. So yeah, Nightcrawler. This is one I will definitely be checking out very soon. Next up is a double dip for me, you know, on Blu-ray, right? Double dip on Blu-ray, but I had to do it. I'm talking about the new Kino Lorber reissue of Revenge of the Ninja. Got a slipcover here. This just came out, I think, a couple weeks ago. And now you're probably wondering, well, you know, Kino Lorber already has a Blu-ray of this title, and I do have that Blu-ray. but that Blu-ray is only on a single layer disc. It's like a BD25 disc. This is the same restoration that was on that previous Blu-ray, but this has a higher quality encode on a dual layer BD50 disc, right? And plus you get a slipcover here, which, you know, that was, I'll admit, that was something I wanted. I picked up Enter the Ninja. Kino also reissued Enter the Ninja last year, and I picked that one up as well. So when I saw that they were reissuing this one, I was like, oh, I already have it. Do I really need to buy it again? But this was my favorite of the Ninja trilogy, and I just really wanted that slipcover and the higher quality encode. So yeah, I'm glad I picked it up. I haven't had a chance to watch it since I picked it up yet, but you know, I just watched this like for the first time last year. So it hasn't been that long since I've seen it, and I am looking forward to giving this one another spin. But yeah, if you're in the market for this title, if you don't already have it in your collection, now's a great time to pick up this Blu-ray from Kino Lorber from Amazon. I got mine from Amazon, but it's a Kino Lorber release. And if by some chance you've never seen this film and you're into like martial arts, ninjas type stuff, I would highly recommend it. This is such a fun film, just a great film. Canon Films release, and one of their best, I think, that they ever put out. Of all the movies that Canon Films put out, I would say this is one of their better ones for sure. So yeah, I just love Revenge of the Ninja, and look forward to checking this one out again in the near future. Okay, next up, I picked up a couple films from Fede Alvarez, and that was on the recommendation of my buddy Ken over at Mid-Level Media. So, you know, Ken, thank you for those recommendations. Ken and I got together, I think it was about a month and a half ago, something like that, and he had me on his Collectors of the World show on his channel. And if you haven't seen that episode, you should definitely go check it out. In fact, I'll link to it in the description below for those of you who never got to see that interview. But we had a lot of fun on his channel, and we got to talking about Alien Romulus, right? Which I'm really excited about. Big Alien fan, as many of you know. So I'm super stoked for the new Alien movie. But I'd never really seen anything else that Fede Alvarez has made, right? I know he hasn't made that many movies, but the other ones he's made, I've never seen them. So in discussing Fede Alvarez's movies, Ken suggested that I check out Don't Breathe. And I did, and I really liked it. I thought it was a good movie. This stars Stephen Lang, and I won't say too much about the plot, but I really enjoyed this one. A lot of fun, really suspenseful, and pretty intense movie. And if you're into, you know, kind of like home invasion type horror, that's the category this would fit into, I'd say. And this is a really good one. So yeah, I had to get up to speed on Fede Alvarez films. So, and I'm glad I picked this up. No regrets at all. I really enjoyed it. The other Fede Alvarez movie I picked up was Evil Dead 2013. I've never seen this, still haven't watched it yet. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I just haven't had a chance to yet. You know, I'm kind of lukewarm on the Evil Dead franchise as a whole. I've only seen the first two, and I like them. I own them, but I don't know if I like them quite as much as other horror franchise or other horror movies in general. However, I hear this is really good, and you know, probably a whole different animal from the original Evil Dead movies, the first two. So I am looking forward to seeing what Fede Alvarez does with the subject matter here. But what do you guys think of this one? Are you guys fans of this one at all? You know, I'd love to hear from you, so let me know down below. All right, next up, I've been wanting to bulk up on my Jason Statham in my collection. I do have some Jason Statham movies, but I don't have that many. There are definitely some holes in my collection that needed to be filled, and one of them was the Transporter movies, 1 and 2. I got this handy little double feature here. Seemed like a good idea at the time, and I had seen both of these movies years ago, but it had been a while. and I just had never gotten around to adding this to my collection. You know, I like Jason Statham. I think he's, you know, I think he does some fun, entertaining action films. I recently did a review of The Beekeeper, his newest movie, or one of his newest movies, and that movie was incredible. I really liked that movie. It was so much fun, and it got me on a Jason Statham kick and wanting to add some other titles to my collection from him. And I do have a few other titles as it is, but you know, you can always use a little bit more, and he's made a lot of action vehicles. So yeah, so I had to get the Transporter 1 and 2, and I did watch both of these and had a lot of fun revisiting these titles. So yeah, Transporter 1 and 2 on Blu-ray. All right, next up, we've got a 1995 kind of sci-fi thriller, I guess you could call it. I'm talking about Strange Days. You know, I broke down and finally picked this one up. I think I may have talked about this title in a video I did a few months ago on like my 4K wish list video, right? Where I was talking about titles that I would like to see receive 4K releases. And I think this is one of the ones I mentioned that I think we should have a 4K release of. However, I had never seen the movie at the time. And, you know, I didn't really want to wait for a 4K release that may or may not ever come. So what I ultimately ended up doing was buying this Region B import Blu-ray, and, you know, which isn't really a problem for me. I have a region, multi-region compatible player. And plus you can use the little hack on the Panasonic UB820 players to, you know, to bypass the region coding on this, which is what I did for this. But this turned out to be just a really good movie. This is so good. Really well done film. It's directed by Catherine Bigelow. Story was written by James Cameron, and he co-wrote the screenplay as well. So those are some pretty significant bona fides, I would say here. A great cast too. You got Ralph Fiennes. You got Angela Bassett in this. You got Juliette Lewis. And you got Tom Sizemore in this. So yeah, just a really good cast, really well done film, great story, great script, and of course it looks wonderful as well. So if you've never seen Strange Days, this is one I would definitely recommend. Although I don't believe this has a US Blu-ray release, which is why I went with this one. I think I got this from Amazon, but Amazon US. But I don't believe there is a U.S. release for this on Blu-ray. You have to get this import if you want to check this one out on physical media, at least as of right now. Hopefully, we will someday get a 4K release of this, and I would double dip and buy this one on 4K because I just thought it was that well done. So yeah, Strange Days. If you've never seen it, you know, I highly recommend it. Great film. All right, moving right along here, I've got a heist film for you here next. This is from 2001, and one I used to watch quite a bit on cable when it first came out. And I'm talking about Heist, starring Gene Hackman, Delroy Lindo, Danny DeVito's in this, and a few other people as well. This is a great heist film. I really enjoyed this one. Of course, I'm a huge Gene Hackman fan. He's up there among my, he's probably like a top 5 favorite actor for me, right? I love Gene Hackman. And so, you know, I was all in on this. I remember when this first came out, I used to watch it on cable TV quite a bit. This is one of those films that has a pretty high rewatch value for me. And if you're a fan of heist films, you definitely got to check this one out. It's definitely worth not just watching, but I think owning. And, you know, this is one that I've been meaning to pick up for a while. I just hadn't gotten around to it. So I finally broke down and said, yeah, I gotta add this to my heist film collection. So yeah, Heist is just a great film that I'd highly recommend if you've never seen it. I also picked up a new Star Wars documentary, which, you know, I'm always a big fan of making of or retrospective documentaries. And this is a 6-part documentary called Icons Unearthed. if I can say the word right without messing it up. But yeah, this is really good. I think it's like 4.5 hours, and then there's like hours of interviews, like full interviews beyond just that 4.5 hour runtime. But it's broken down into like 6 episodes, right? And I've seen, I think, the first 4 episodes. I still haven't watched the whole thing yet. Still got a couple episodes to check out. But this covers the original trilogy and then the prequel trilogy, right? It doesn't cover the sequel trilogy at all. At least I don't think so. I don't think they talk about that. I haven't gotten to the very end, so if they mention it, I'm not aware of it. But most of the focus on this is the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy and George Lucas's direct involvement in these films. One thing I like about it is it has kind of a different perspective, right? I would not consider this a comprehensive, like all-encompassing Star Wars documentary. Think of it as like something to add to previous documentaries that you may have in your collection or that you've seen. This is kind of like a nice little addition to that. It kind of complements other Star Wars documentaries. But it's a slightly different perspective from the perspective of Marcia Lucas, really. Or at least that's what it felt like when watching this. It felt like the whole series kind of had this tone to it, like it was more from Marcia Lucas's perspective, like everything that went down. And that's what I found so interesting about this series in general. But yeah, really good Star Wars documentary. If you're a big Star Wars fan like me, you should definitely check this out when you get the chance. By the way, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, don't forget to hit that notification bell as well. Make sure that notification bell is activated so you can always be alerted whenever I'm posting videos that you might be interested in. Also, don't forget to like the video as well. It really does help with the channel's visibility out there on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. I also wanted to bulk up my Nicolas Cage collection just a little tiny bit, and I heard somewhere, I can't remember where, but I heard somewhere that this was a pretty decent film, and I'm talking about Ghost Rider. Yeah, Ghost Rider 1 and 2 got a little double feature pack here. I haven't watched the second one yet. I've only seen the first one, but I had not seen it prior to getting this release here, and I really enjoyed the first Ghost Rider one. I think I'm trying to remember where I heard this from. It was someone on something I was listening to. I think it might have been Nerdrotic briefly mentioned this in something and said this actually was a fairly decent endeavor here, right? So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll check it out. And so I ended up picking it up and, yeah, very much enjoyed the first Ghost Rider movie. And, I love Nicolas Cage. He's always a lot of fun. And I think he did a good job with this. Now, I don't know, maybe the second one sucks. I haven't watched the second one yet, so I don't know. But I definitely did like the first one. So, yeah, Ghost Rider 1 and 2. All right, next up, I've got a couple Vinegar Syndrome titles that I haven't even watched yet. So I'll just briefly go over them. I haven't picked up enough Vinegar Syndrome titles recently to do like a dedicated Vinegar Syndrome video. So I'm just adding my my Vinegar Syndrome stuff in here with the collection update. But got a deal on these 2 titles. I picked up Red Surf. This is George Clooney. And this is, what year did this come out? 1989, it looks like. Check out the art there. This is the Vinegar Syndrome VSA box. And let's see if I can get the reflection to show the spot gloss on the title there. Yeah, it's hard to see, but you can kind of see it. Spot gloss there on the film title. And it's on the back as well. Very cool. These are these rigid hard boxes, right? That's one thing I love about these VSA releases. The nice hard box. They're kind of a pain to get them back in, like once they're opened, once you've taken the cellophane off, which I haven't done yet because I haven't been ready to watch it. And I'm sure this probably has reversible cover art, but I can't tell you for sure because I haven't opened it yet. But yeah, trying to get these VSAs back in there, sometimes the little, let me show you, the little plastic right there on this edge gets caught on the edge of the box, and it can really crunch it up and make it, mess it up. So so you got to be careful with these VSA boxes. It's the only thing I don't like about them. But I love the packaging otherwise. I think they're cool. It's like a retro VHS style bottom loading case, right? I love this kind of packaging. I just wish it was a little easier to get them back into the package, you know, once you've taken the cellophane off the actual release. So, but yeah, Red Surf, I haven't watched it yet. I'm looking forward to checking it out. You know, I just checked out the trailer on Vinegar Syndrome's website, and it looked interesting enough to me to give it a shot. Plus, this was on sale. I think this was one of their promotional deals or something that they did during one of their sales. So I got a really good price on it, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to pick it up. So yeah, Red Surf. Another Vinegar Syndrome title I picked up was Buried Alive. I believe this was also on sale. I got a really good deal on it. Got a little horror movie here starring Donald Pleasance and Robert Vaughn, which that was a big selling point for me personally. I love Donald Pleasance. And I like Robert Vaughn too. So another one I haven't had a chance to watch yet. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Let's see what we got here in terms of... did get the slip cover here. Reversible cover art there, which you gotta love, right? Yeah, I really am looking forward to checking this out. Haven't seen it yet, but you know, hopefully it'll be decent. You just never really know with Vinegar Syndrome whether it's gonna be good or bad, right? I mean, it can be very much hit and miss with Vinegar Syndrome, right? So with these blind buys, you know, you take a couple chances on these blind buys, and sometimes you get lucky and you find a nice little gem, and sometimes you get something that really does kind of suck. So I'm not sure which category these two will fall into yet, but we will find out in the near future. Okay, so that wraps it up for all the new Blu-ray pickups, but let's move on to 4K now. And I only have like 4K titles to talk about today because all of my other new 4K titles were talked about in my 4K takeaways videos. So make sure you check those out if you're interested in seeing those reviews. But for now, let's just talk about the 4K titles that I wasn't able to talk about in those other videos. First up, I just picked this up the other day, Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. I'd heard this film is pretty crazy, and I wanted to give it a shot. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Still haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I'm looking forward to checking it out. This is a Severin Films release that I just bought from Amazon. Because I'm not a huge Severin fan. I mean, they do good work, but, you know, in terms of their restorations, but, well, I'll just leave it at that. You know, I'm not sure that I'm all that sold on their customer service and buying from them directly. So, but, you know, I hear this is a pretty good movie. It sounded, I wanted something a little bit more grindhousey, something, you know, a horror movie. From the early 80s, and this fit the bill. I think this is a fairly new release from Severin Films, so I was very curious to see how the 4K looked on this one. Of course, I've never seen the film, so it's not like I would have anything to compare it to, but I am definitely interested in checking this one out in the very near future. I hear it's pretty twisted, so, you know, sounds like fun to me. But yeah, apparently this one's kind of a shocker. It was a bit of a shocker at the time, at least from what I've read. So we'll see if it's really as shocking as I've been led to believe. So Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker on 4K. And let's see, I'll show you the back there. If you guys want to see that at all. But yeah, let me know what you think of this one. If you guys have seen this one, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. So yeah, Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker. I also picked up Basic Instinct on 4K. I don't believe there is a US 4K release for this title, so this is from Studio Canal. Of course, I bought this from Amazon US. You can still buy this from Amazon US, but I think it's another one of those deals where it ships through Amazon Global. But this is a Studio Canal release, and I gotta tell you, this looks amazing. This is a really good looking 4K. I was surprised at how good this looked. It was nice and crisp. The detail is off the charts on this, and it just really nice, vibrant looking image that you can't go wrong with this, you know, at all on 4K. I wasn't expecting much. I don't know why, but for some reason I wasn't expecting much from this on 4K, and I was pleasantly surprised But this has definitely become a bit of a classic over the years. You can't go wrong with a little Michael Douglas and Sharon Stone in this film. So yeah, Basic Instinct on 4K. Highly recommended if you're in the market for this title on 4K. Yeah, this 4K is a solid transfer as far as I'm concerned. I also picked up Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 on 4K. I still have not watched this. I've had it for like 4 or 5 months and I still haven't even gotten around to watching it. I just haven't been in the mood for checking this out. And, you know, I've heard mixed reviews. Some people thought it was pretty good. Some people said it wasn't very good. So, you know, I'll have to decide for myself. But I do plan to watch this probably in the next few weeks. It's just not something I've gotten around to so far. So let me know what you guys thought of this one in the comments below. If you're a big fan of this one or if you thought it sucked, I'd like to hear from you either way. But yeah, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 on 4K. And I'm sure the 4K looks good. I'm sure the 4K must look really good of this. You know, the practical stuff that they do, Tom Cruise and all his stunts and all that. I'm sure it looks incredible in 4K. I just don't know if the substance of the film is there. You know, if it's a good film outside of just how good it looks. So we will see, won't we? I will find out when I watch this. So yeah, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And for my last one, I finally got around to picking up something. This was kind of a bit of a housekeeping task for me. This was something that I was on the fence about whether I even wanted to upgrade to 4K or not. I have a Blu-ray, but I wasn't sure if I was ready to upgrade this one to 4K, if I even needed it on 4K. But I'm such a big fan of this film, and I'm such a big fan of heist films, that ultimately I decided I had to pull the trigger on it. So I got The Town, Ben Affleck, who stars and directs. Jeremy Renner in this. This is a really, really good heist film. And, you know, you don't get a lot of heist films in the modern era that are that good. I don't feel like we see a whole lot of heist films in general these days. We do get them from time to time, but it's just not, I feel like it's not quite as common. But this really well done film. I was really happy with this one. In fact, I think I saw this in the theater and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. It was action-packed. Now, the only downside to this film is the fact that there's an extended cut that I think is about 25 minutes longer than the theatrical cut. And I actually like that extended cut more, but they don't put the extended cut on 4K. You do get it in an included Blu-ray disc, but they don't have the extended cut on the 4K disc here. You only get the theatrical cut. So I thought that kind of sucked because I would have definitely wanted to see the full director's cut on 4K. But, you know, that's not how they did it here. So that's the only downside. That said, I still like watching the theatrical cut, and I may not always be in the mood to watch something as long as the extended cut, because like I said, it adds like 25 minutes, half hour extra to the film. So it's pretty long. But yeah, I was happy that I finally picked this up. This is one of those things that it really wasn't critical for me to own this on 4K, but there was something nagging at me. I just didn't feel right only having this on Blu-ray. For as much as I like this film, I feel like I needed to get the 4K. So yeah, The Town on 4K. If you've never seen this film, you got to check it out. This is an awesome film. So, so much fun. So yeah, The Town on 4K, and I think that about wraps up my new 4K pickups for this video. Okay, and so that wraps up my my collection update for this this cycle. I don't know when my next collection update will be. We'll just kind of play it by ear. If I can do one in 2 months, great. But it kind of depends on what 4K takeaways I develop between now and the next update as well. So we'll see how that goes. But let me know what you think of this video in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of these titles. Did you pick up any of these titles? Do you have any of these titles? Have you seen them? And if not, which titles did I talk about here that sound interesting to you? I always love chatting with you guys in the comments, so make sure you leave me some feedback down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.